Joining me now in Washington is the Congressman Adam Smith. He's the top Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee. Congressman, great to have you here. Thank you for being with us. Look, every time we get involved in a conflict somewhere in the world, danger of retaliation to American citizens exists. There's no question about that. But literally nothing comes as close as the danger that Iran can pose in our recent history. Iraq was never able to do that. Afghanistan was never able to do that, despite Al-Qaeda and ISIS. Venezuela was never able to do that. When asked about this, Donald Trump said, asked if Americans should be worried about retaliatory attacks, he said, I guess. Like, that's literally what he said. He said, some people will die. When you go to war, some people will die. Well, that's wildly cavalier.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's stumbled into this entire conflict, and there's layers of problems here. Certainly, the one is that we apparently have not learned the lesson of Iraq, Afghanistan, and Libya, that when you start breaking things in war, a lot of unpredictable things happen, which is why it should be a last resort, not a first option. But what President Trump has done, in the cavalier way that he stumbled into this war, is he's made it clear that he's not focused on any sort of consequences or downsides. He wants to exercise power as directly and quickly as possible. I mean, he's been a bully in everything else he's ever done, so it's not surprising that now that, God help us all, he has the power of the federal government at his disposal, that he's using it in the same manner, in a very aggressive, attack-oriented way that does not contemplate consequences for very long, if at all.
And look, I'm going to talk. I deal in economics, so I'm going to talk a lot about the cost of this war at some point. But the real cost of the war, we're going to start to see in a few hours when we have the dignified transfer of 6 American service people, 150 girls killed at a school. Does seem to be that U.S. strikes were responsible for that. People are dying here. We had some sort of negotiation going on with Iran, depending on who you believe it was going well or less well. And then 48 hours later, we were bombing the country.
Right. And Iran was as weak as they have been for, 25 years because of the conflict that they stumbled into with Israel. Iran, which I will grant you, absolutely a threat, no question about it, but they were less of a threat than they'd been in a very, very long time. And look, that again is the lesson that we should have learned. And I was there, during the Iraq War, Afghanistan, how long that lasted, the campaign to remove Muammar Gaddafi. There's this incredible temptation to get frustrated by where things are at, to see everything that Saddam Hussein was doing in the Middle East and elsewhere that was causing problems, to see what Gaddafi was doing and say, we have to fix this, and try a couple things and realize, and one of the things we need to realize, by the way, you can't fix every problem in the world. You can't. This notion that, okay, well, diplomacy wasn't working as well as we, therefore we had to fix it. Sometimes you have to manage problems. Sometimes you have to contain them. And one of the biggest reasons for doing that is if you take that final step and say, screw it, I'm done with this. I'm going to use violence. I'm going to use force. I'm going to go take what I want, which when you think about it is sort of the Trump-Hegseth way of looking at the world. There are consequences and costs. As terrible as, all those people I just mentioned were, there are consequences and costs of using violence to try to fix the problem. And over the last 25 years, we should have learned that lesson. And crucially, on the campaign trail, nobody was more strong in saying that he had learned that lesson than Donald Trump. Remember?
Literally said we're not the world's policeman. Literally said we don't want any more Middle Eastern wars. Literally said we don't want forever wars.
More than that, Ali, he literally said, we will not go to war with Iran if I am president, specific to this specific conflict. And he didn't say, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and if that doesn't work out, no. He said because of his, I guess, just natural ability, he was going to magically stop this from happening. And then he got into power and he stumbled into it. And I think why is really important, and it ties back into your previous guest. It's because Trump is feeling emboldened and unconstrained. He has accumulated power. He is using it abusively and tyrannically, and he thinks he's getting away with it. And he's going to continue to expand as he feels more and more emboldened by this. And using our military in the way that he's been using it, unbelievably dangerous. And yes, I'll just close on the point you made. 6 U.S. service members are dead who didn't have to die. And yes, apparently clearly 150 civilians, girls in Iran are dead who didn't have to die. That's what happens when you think that force and violence is the answer.
Changes may be coming. There are protests. There are hearings that we've seen to great effect this week in Congress, and there are these primaries. So Americans have their agency, and they seem to be using it. Congressman, good to see you as always. Thank you. The Democratic Congressman Adam Smith of Washington.